Good evening, guys. Welcome to this evening's hips and hamstrings dynamic yoga class. So dynamic meaning it's a little bit like power yoga. I guess they're the same thing. We won't hold things for too long. We're expecting to work relatively hard, but generally that means that we can get into our flexibility a little better because we're warmer, the muscles are ready for it, and it's a really fun way to practice. You don't need anything specific. I don't think there's any props that you need for this class that I can think off the top of my head. We will be having a go at our Firefly pose towards the end of the class when we're all lovely and warm, and 2 blocks are good for working on that pose if you're new to it or if you struggle with the flexibility required. But we'll see when we get there. So we're going to start down in child's pose. So knees to be a little bit wider than your hips, big toes to touch, bum to your heels, and then walk your hands away from you. Let your forehead come to rest down onto the floor, just so you've got a moment to settle in here. Think of your hips staying nice and heavy towards your heels and those arms to stay reaching so the side body feels long. Allow yourself to settle, to become still, just so you can take a moment to connect to your breath, to connect to your body, and feel like you've fully arrived, ready to move, ready for your practice. Focusing on that breath as you breathe in, expand into the sides of the body. Breathing out. As you inhale, breathe into the front of the chest. And breathing out. And as you inhale, breathe into the back of the body. And breathing out. Great, let your hands walk off to the right side of the mat. Left hand can hold the right if you wish, and push your ribcage out in that left direction to get that big old side body stretch. Breathe into that side. And then breathe out, walk all the way over to the other side. Right hand holds the left. Push your sit bones down and push out through that right side, the rib cage. Inhale into it. And then exhale, hands back onto the mat. Walk yourself up so you're on your shins and just bring your knees a little closer together. As you inhale, send your arms to the sky, gaze up towards them. Exhale, right hand to the floor next to you. Lean across towards it as you look under that left arm. Roll the chest open and push the hips slightly towards the left. As you exhale, that hand in the sky goes behind you. Maybe it can hold your feet. As the right arm spins across, look over your left shoulder and grow as tall as you can as you narrow through the belly. Inhale, both arms back to the sky, gaze up towards them. Exhale, left hand to the floor next to you. A little lean across, hips push in the opposite direction. Chest rolls open and look under the arm. Breathe into that right side. And then breathing out, send that behind you. Maybe hold the feet if that's comfortable. Left hand holds the thigh as you twist, look over the right shoulder. Draw the chest nice and tall, inhale. Exhale, draw yourself back to center. Coming back into child's pose, but this time take your knees as wide as you possibly can so they can even come off the side of the mat if you wish. Hands then walk away. It probably feels significantly different. And see if that forehead is happy to rest onto the floor. Use your hands to again push your hips back towards your heels and feel like you're pressing your feet down into the floor, so starting to really engage the muscles into the legs. Breathing in, grow longer. Breathing out, going off to the right side of the mat again. Just leave your hands separate this time. Think of squishing the body towards that right thigh. Left sit bone pushes down towards left heel. Breathing in. Breathing out, all the way via center, all the way over to the left, keeping those hips heavy, feeling that length in the right side body. One more, breathing in. And then breathing out, all the way back to center. This time, push your way up onto your knees, just bring them more narrow so they come underneath your hips as you find your way into tabletop. From here, moving through some active cat and cows. So as you inhale and drop the belly, lift the chest, lift your feet off the mat, think of pulling your heels towards your bum. As you exhale, tuck your toes, float your knees as you cat back, but keep the knees nice and close to the floor. Inhale, drop the knees, heels to bum, chest lifts, gaze forwards. Exhale, tucked toes, hovering knees, domed upper back, hollow out through the belly. Great, again, breathing in, heels to bum, push the ribs to the mat, shoulder blades squeeze together. Exhale, tucking the toes, floating the knees, rounding the back as you hollow the belly. One more of each, breathing in and breathing out. Great. Now it might be a hips and hamstrings class, but your upper body isn't going to get away with it. Come into your cow pose with the knees bent, heels towards your bum. Keep your heels there. You're going to look where the line of your fingertips is and think of sending your chin way beyond your fingertips as your elbows stay close to your ribs. We're going to go 3 times. See if your chin can tap the floor. For 1, push your way back up. For 2, keep those heels close to your bum. And for 3, a little bit of a chin stand prep. You can then tuck your toes under behind you, walk yourself back as you come into a little, I guess it's a toe stand, onto the balls of your feet. Lift your heels as high as you can, so don't just settle for lifted heels. Really pull them off of the mat. See if your heels can come towards your sit bones. See if you can find a moment of balance by bringing your hands in front of your chest. Keep those thighs and belly squishing together. And then hands back to the floor. Drop the knees back down and untuck the toes. Again, might be a hips and hamstrings class, but your core's not going to get away with it either. Fingertips in line with kneecaps this time, tops of the feet onto the mat. We're going for 5 little lifts of the knees up towards the collarbones. Rounded spine, breathing in for 1. Slowly and softly place them back down. Keep leaning forwards, lifting up for 2. Slowly returning to the mat. Go again for 3. For 4, and then last time, lift those hips, lift the knees. Now keep lifting, lean the body weight forwards until you can turn the feet over. Come into a ragdoll fold. So the knees are softly bent, the belly and thighs are connected, and your arms can either dangle or cross in front of you. And if you wish, you can take a little sway from left to right. Think of the spine lengthening, so the crown of the head is growing down towards the floor. Using your core strength to compress the belly towards the thighs as you push your sit bones up and wide away from one another. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. So from here, keeping your feet hip distance apart, I want you to bend your knees, push your hips backwards so you come into sort of this little squat shape. Belly and thighs stay connected the whole time. Interlace your hands behind you, squeeze your shoulder blades together to lift your fist away from the body. Looking down at the mat, breathing in. Breathing out, push the hips to the sky, look back between your shins, think of your forehead coming as close to the legs as you can. Inhale, sink the hips back, gazing down, belly and thighs connected. Breathing out, hips lift up, fist falls up and over. Breathing in, back into your half squat, lift that fist. Breathing out, push the thighs back, lift the hips high. One more, breathing in. And breathing out, fold over those legs. Really let that fist feel heavy as your neck is nice and soft and dangles between or in front of the legs. Hold here, inhale. And then release your hands as you exhale, fingertips to the mat. This time, wiggle your feet wider, so they're about as wide as your mat, but still pointing forwards. We're going to move through those same shapes, but it feels a lot different when your feet are wide. So interlace those hands behind you, bend your knees, drive them wide, so it's like your torso is coming inside your thighs, looking down, breathing in. Breathing out, push the hips high, try to keep the torso and the thighs connected. Breathing in, sink the hips low, drive the knees wide, weight into the little toes. Breathing out, hips high, head dangles, fist lifts. 2 more, breathing in. Breathing out. And then last one, inhale, push those knees wide. Breathing out, fold over the legs, pause here for a moment, lift your pelvis high, lift the fist away from the body, breathing in. And then breathing out, hands to come down to the mat. Sink your hips low towards your heels as you come into a little yogi squat. But instead of sitting tall, like we usually do, I want you to stay folded forwards between the knees or between the thighs. Push those knees wider. Use the strength in your hips to do that. Push into the little toe edges of your feet, so try and transfer your weight there. Take a deep breath in. and then look forwards to the top of the mat. You're going to walk your hands forwards, keep your feet wide. When you get there, slowly lower yourself all the way down onto your belly. So feet have stayed wide, untuck your toes, leave your hands about as wide as your mat, just forwards of your shoulders. As you inhale, lift through your chest, squeeze through your lower back, chest and gaze goes forwards. Exhale, release your chest down, some little cobra rolls. Again, inhale, push down through the pelvis, shoulders away from the ears, long neck. Exhale, release it down, making things a little bit more fiery. As you inhale, lift the chest, bend both knees, see if your toes can connect in the sky. Exhale, release it all back down to the mat, chest and legs touch down. Inhale, curling up, pressing down through the hips, toes connect. Exhale, releasing. Last one, inhale, lift through the upper body, press down through those thighs, really squeeze your hamstrings. And then exhale, release the chest down, hands underneath your armpits roughly so that you can roll yourself back into down dog. Find that upside down V shape, give the legs a pedal if you want to. Focus on opening wide the armpits, making any little authentic movements you want to. Wiggle your hips, sway your legs, anything you like here. Once you've had your little fidget, your little wiggle, allow yourself to find some stillness and really transfer the weight towards your legs to get that length in the back line of the body. Breathe in. Breathing out. And then breathe in, look forwards, top of the mat. We're going to jump forwards. I want you to land in a forward fold. So land as softly as you possibly can by your wrists, nice and soft. Hopefully no elephants. Inhale, hands to your shins, chest comes forwards, halfway lift. Engage your quads as you press your thighs backwards. Exhale to fold over, maybe give the back of your ankles a little pull to deepen your fold as you release the tension in the neck. One more, inhale, half lift, engage those quads. Exhale to forward fold, giving yourself that little encouragement, little pull against the legs. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Arms go up and overhead, tailbone stays tucked. And as you exhale, release your hands alongside your body. Moving on, breathing in, arms back to the sky. Breathing out, forward fold, hands to the floor, and then widening your feet to be about hip distance apart. Excuse me. Fingertips are going to stay onto the mat in front of you, and you're going to try and keep a tabletop or a flat spine, so it's sort of chest lengthening forwards. Really working into the hips here. Try to keep the body still. The right leg, you're going to lift it away from the floor. As you breathe in, sweep it out to the side for like sweep it laterally like fire hydrant. Hold it. Breathing out, bring it back towards the mat, but don't let it touch down. Breathing in, this time, reach it out behind you, a little bit like warrior 3. Keep the foot flexed. Squeeze your top glutes. Breathing out, it floats next to the left foot. This time to the side, breathing in, lift, hold. Breathing out, float. Going behind you this time, inhale, keep that chest forwards. And exhale, back to the mat. One more time, out to that right, lift and hold it. Exhale, bringing it back to float. Last time, lift it out behind you, push away through that heel. Now keep your leg lifted this time. See if you can come to rise to stand and then place that foot down at the mat behind you. So if you fell, you can make it look like you meant to do that. Keep your feet on train tracks, left and right, and just a sort of medium length stance. Don't go for a super long lunge because you'll regret it in a moment. So keeping your hands on your waist to begin with, bend into your front knee to find your lunge, press away through your back heel. Inhale, arms then go to the sky. Try and keep that back leg as straight as you can as you keep the weight and the body driving forwards into your lunge. Breathing in. Breathing out. Good. Inhale, holding here. Exhale, right arm goes forwards, left arm goes back as you twist, looking towards the left. Keep those arms parallel to the mat. Breathing in. Breathing out, hands to the waist, 2 legs straight. And we're going to keep these legs straight as we work through some balance. So your back heel should be lifted as far away from the floor as you can. Front ball of foot is down. We're going to switch. Option to make this harder by sending your arms to the sky. So as your back heel rests down, your front toes flex to the sky. Come back forwards onto the ball of the foot, back heel lifts. Keep the legs straight and strong as you transition back. Drop the heel, flex the toes. Come back forwards, lift the back heel, drop the ball of the foot. You'll notice one direction is particularly easier than the other. Drop that back heel, flex the toes, lifting back up, 2 straight legs. One more time to go backwards. Flex those toes, drop the heel, let the hands come to the waist and plant down the ball of the foot. So we're coming into pyramid. Breathing in, chest stays nice and long. Breathing out, sending the chest forwards. Option for the fingertips to come to the floor. Use blocks if the floor is too far away. If you have no blocks, you can keep a little bend into your front leg. Back heel stays firmed down against the mat. Left sit bone pushes a little backwards, chest keeps lengthening forwards. Breathing in and breathing out. Drop your back knee down to the floor. Maybe just widen your stance front to back so that you're challenging your range of motion here. Lift your torso away from your front thigh and untuck your back toes. Hands just to the waist for this one. Let's see how it goes on our waist. I want you to think of lots of strength into this back leg. We're going to press down into the top of the foot. As you inhale, float the knee. Think of rising upwards. Exhale, slowly and gently place it back down. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. So it's on the top of the foot. 3 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Last 2. Breathing in, think of squeezing your glutes. Breathing out. And then last one. Inhale, strong legs. Exhale, lower it down, squeeze through your glutes. You can tuck your back toes to help drive your hips forwards and down. Take your arms up and over as you stretch into that hip flexor, lengthening the front line of the body. A nice deep breath in as the chest rises, and a deep breath out. Keep driving your hips forwards. Hands then come down to the mat, or right hand at least comes down to the mat. Try to keep your front knee and front toes pointing forward, so don't let them flop to the side because we're going there in a minute. Left arm is going to reach behind you as you bend your back knee, seeing if you can grab hold of the foot. If it's not quite within reach, let yourself twist a little bit first to see if that lets your arm become that bit longer. You're pulling your heel towards your bum as you're driving your hips forwards as if your hips are trying to run away from that heel. Squeeze that front knee in towards the body. Keep your chest lengthening forwards. Breathing in. Breathing out. Great. Release that back foot. Wiggle your front foot a little bit wider so it's towards the edge of the mat. Both hands and your torso on the inside of the thigh. Tuck the back toes and float the back knee. You've got a couple of options here. I want everyone to turn the front foot outwards and notice how we've got a big toe down and knee on top of ankle, or knee sort of in line with body, and you can then roll the leg out onto the knife edge of the foot and the knee splays wide. We're all going to make that motion. You've got the option to add your arms in as well. So as you breathe in, we stay long, pulling forwards, knee pulls in. As you breathe out, let the knee widen, falls away from you as you bend your elbows and sink the body down. Breathing in, knee draws in, lengthen out the arms. We're going for 6, that was 1. So breathing out, lower, let that knee fall wide. Inhale, up. Exhale, go for 3. Push that knee away from you, roll onto the edge of the foot and up. 3 more, down and up. Option to keep the arms straight if it's too much into the upper body. And then last one, bending those elbows, pushing that knee wide, and then coming up to the top. The back foot is going to step in to match the front foot as you sink your hips back down into your malasana, into your yogi squat. Driving the weight into the outer edges of the feet, lifting the chest nice and tall, hands together, elbows drive the thighs wide. This one we're going to keep our chest nice and tall. Trying to keep your feet just as they are, and you might already be on the balls of your feet, and that's cool. We're going to see if we can lift the heels as high as we possibly can. So just like we did at the back of the mat, don't just settle for a little lift. See if you can pull yourself into your highest high heels, even if you don't own any, which I do not. Pull those heels as tall as you can. Keep your chest lifting. Keep those thighs driving wider. And then exhale, let your heels come down. If you need a little bit of space in front of you, we're coming into crow. Maybe just step yourself back. Hands to come to the floor. You've got two options. You can work on your crow pose. You can take a crow pose and hold for endurance, or you might want to try taking crow pose, dropping your head into a tripod headstand. And when I say dropping, I mean placing, and then seeing if we can lift back up. Please go with whatever feels best for your practice. I'm going to talk us through the transition into tripod. So hands go as they would for your crow. Get the knees on the back of the triceps, squeeze the thighs inwards, chest goes forwards, weight towards fingertips, gaze is forwards. Make sure you have your balance before you go further. As you lower your head towards the floor, let your feet reach down towards the mat to counterbalance. The head is going way out in front of the fingertips as you come into tripod. There's the option to bring the knees off of the triceps to make life a little harder. We're then placing the knees back onto the triceps and seeing if we can lift up. Either way, we're coming back into Malasana. So if you just fall straight back, take your feet wide. If you're coming out of your crow, take your feet wide. If you're trying to lift back up, take the weight of the body into the heels of the hands, the feet to reach away from the bum to see if your head can leave the floor. Not an easy transition. So bring yourself back into your yogi squat. Arms are pressing the thighs wide and the chest is growing tall. Take a nice deep breath in and a slow breath out. Great, one more, breathing in. And then breathing out right away, all the way up to stand. Feet to then step in about hip distance apart. And if you need to, just step back towards the top of your mat. Inhale, arms rise up and overhead. Exhale to forward fold, fingertips to the floor, thighs press backwards. Inhale, halfway lift, nice and long through your spine, and then keep that length, keep that engagement in your core and your legs, let your fingertips rest the floor. The knees can be a little bit bent if you need to. Coming into our fire hydrant leg lifts and that crazy thing we did a minute ago. So left leg is going to lift directly away from the mat. Breathing in, sweep it out to the left, don't worry how high it gets, be strong. Breathing out, float it back above the mat. Breathing in, kick it out behind you, squeeze your left glutes. Breathing out, float it. Breathing in, kick to the left. Breathing out, float. Breathing in, send it behind you, chest stays forwards. Breathing out, float. One more to the side, inhale and exhale. And then last one out behind you, push away through the heels, squeeze through the glutes. Think of nice and long through your chest. You're then with as much control as you can, see if you can rise towards standing as you place the foot at the back of the mat, finding yourself into that sort of pyramid alignment, but maybe a little bit longer to start with, got no balance, for your long lunge, high lunge. Bend into the front knee, press away through the back heel, and as you inhale, take your arms to the sky. Get that back leg as straight as you can manage. Draw the tailbone under, so think of tailbone towards the mat. Ribs rise. Breathe in. As you breathe out, left arm forwards, right arm back, twisting the chest towards the right, keeping those hips driving forwards and down. Hold here as you inhale. And as you exhale, turn yourself back to face forward, straighten out both legs. Make sure, can't even balance before we've started. Make sure both legs are straight and the back heel is as lifted as you can. So pull that heel far away from the floor. Option to make the little balance transitions harder by taking your hands to the sky. So drop the back heel as the front toes flex. And then drop the ball of the foot as the back heel lifts. Good, keep moving. Drop that back heel, flex the toes. Keep the legs straight and strong as you move from one to the other. Good, going back, drop the heel, flex the foot. Drop the foot, lift the heel. Last one, dropping down. Didn't realise that made your legs ache so much. And then pulling forwards. Good, drop your back heel down. So now both feet are flat onto the mat, coming into pyramid. Hands onto your waist, make sure your hips point forwards, breathe in. Breathing out, lengthen your chest long out in front of you. Option for your hands to find the floor if you can reach. Otherwise, same as the other side, keep a bend in the knee or use blocks to bring the floor a little higher towards you. Inhale, lengthen the chest. Exhale, fold towards the leg. One more, breathe in. As you breathe out, drop the back knee down, maybe just step the back foot a little further away first as you come into your low lunge, Keep the back toes untucked, so top of the foot against the mat as we come into those evil little lifts. Hands to the waist, I think, was a nice place for them to be. Top of the foot is pressing down. All muscles of the legs are strong. Breathing in, float away from the mat, only a couple of centimetres. Breathing out, slowly down. Inhale to rise. Exhale to sink. Inhale again, lifting tall. Exhale to lower. Last two. Breathing in. Breathing out. Last one. Inhale. And then exhale. Drop the knee. Tuck the toes under behind you. Squeeze those left glutes. Open that front left hip flexor. Arms go to the sky as you find lots of length through the front line of the body. Breathe into the belly as you grow taller. Driving the hips down, breathing out. Great. Left hand comes down to the floor, knee stays nice and close, foot and knee stay pointing forwards. Bend that back knee, see if your right hand can catch a hold. Add the twist if you need to help you reach, and then pull your foot towards your bum as your hips stay sinking down towards the floor. Squeeze the front knee in close and give the top of that back knee a little press down against the floor if you're looking for a little bit more sensation here. Great, deep breath in. And then slowly let that foot go. Coming back to those little, almost like active lizard push-ups. So front foot, turn it a little bit outwards, hands and torso on the inside of the thigh. Importantly, the back knee has to be lifted so we can load into this front leg. You don't have to add the little arm press-ups if that's not for you. Breathe in, stay tall, stay long, knee is in. Breathing out, push the knee wide, bend the elbows, drop the body. Inhale, lengthen and rise. Exhale, push it wide, press down through the knife edge of the foot. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. We're halfway. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, push it wide. Last two, breathe in. Breathing out. Last one, breathing in. And breathing out. Good, make your way back up to the top. Back foot, if you're at the very top of your mat, just move back a little bit. Back foot steps in to meet your front foot, back into your malasana, your yogi squat. This time we're going somewhere a little different, so allow yourself to settle into your stretch, elbows push your thighs wide, and chest stays nice and tall. So a little bit of extra work for the legs here. I want you to keep everything as the same as it can. So there's no fold, there's no nothing. We're going to slightly rise out of our squat and then back into it. You only need to move a very small distance. If anything, the further you go up, the easier it is. So chest stays nice and proud, gaze is forwards. Inhale, rise a little way out. Exhale, sink down. Whew, feel that? Inhale, rise a little way out, drive the knees wide. Exhale, lower down. 3 more, breathing in. Breathing out. Thankfully, only 2 more. Breathe in. Sink it down. Last one, breathing in. Or breathing out, sink down, hands to the mat. Either step back into down dog or step back into child's pose to give yourself a couple of breaths whilst I take a quick sip of water. If you're in your down dog or your child's pose, just try and elongate your breath a little. Great, so moving up into down dog if you're not there already, hips to the sky, press those thighs backwards as we move on from here. With an inhale, right leg lifts to the sky, 3-legged dog. On the exhale, come to place that foot right in the center of the hands, between the top of the mat, so you're on a tightrope with this front foot. Drop the back heel down, and as you rise up into warrior 2, keep that front knee bent on top of the front ankle. Moving into extended side angle, front forearm to the front thigh as the left arm reaches to the sky. Option for the hand to come to the floor instead, but we will be moving into triangle in a moment. If you struggle to touch the floor in triangle, as most of us do, this might be too far. I'm going to stay on the thigh. Breathing in. As you breathe out, straighten out the front leg. Let the hand be supported onto the shin, but don't dump into the leg. Try and use your core to hold your body tall. Barrel roll the chest open, keep the hips tucked under. Inhale as you hold. On the exhale, take a little bend into the front knee. Hand is coming to your waist. We're moving into half moon. Maybe just step your back foot in a little bit. The right arm is going to reach forwards and a little bit wider towards the right as the back leg flies away from the floor. The hips, the chest, the toes are all pointing to the left side of the room now. Stack the left hip on top of the right. Option for the left arm to reach to the sky if you have your balance here. Option for the standing leg to stay bent if it needs to, or a block to go under the hand. Maybe you can go further. You can bend that top knee, catch hold of the top of the foot, the little toe side, and kick the foot a little bit behind you and a little bit to the sky. So it carries on opening the hip, you're carrying on opening your standing hamstring, and you're really opening into the front of the left chest. Inhale, hold here. And now exhale. If you have hold of the foot, keep hold of it. You're going to spin that foot under the body, kick it out in front of you. If you now didn't have the foot, grab the foot as you sink down into a pistol squat. The left leg reaches forwards, left hand holds it. See if you can get your right heel down. Maybe you can find a moment of balance as both hands hold or reach towards the foot. Now we're going to come, she says, up into a standing balance holding this left foot. If you've got the strength to stand from a pistol squat without your hands, great. When I was planning this, I did. I do not now. It's late in the day. So otherwise, use your right hand to help yourself halfway out the squat. See if you can then continue to rise. Right hand to your waist. Keep hold of that left foot. Kick the heel forwards. Stay nice and tall through your body, breathing in. And then step that foot to the back of the mat. Hands come to the floor, swipe the right leg to the sky into your three-legged dog, and then exhale, place the foot back down. Down dog. Second side, guys. Left leg. Inhale, reaches tall. Exhale, step it forwards between the hands at the top of the mat. Get it onto that tightrope. As your back heel drops down, the toes point to the right. Breathe in, rise into warrior two. Front knee on top of front ankle. Inhale. Exhale, front forearm to the thigh, right arm to the sky. Option to move deeper if that's appropriate for your practice. Open through the chest, tuck the tailbone under, breathing in. As you breathe out, straighten out the front leg. Arm stays either floating or a little bit of support by placing it onto the shin. Roll the chest open. Gaze goes to the top fingertips. Legs are nice and strong. Lift your kneecaps up towards your hips. Take one more deep breath in. Look down towards your front foot. Take a little bend into the standing foot, right hand to your waist. Maybe just step your back foot in a little way to give you a fighting chance. Left arm reaches forwards and down, about a torso's distance in front of your toes. Turn your hips to the right, turn your chest to the right, and the right arm option to go to the sky. If you're super balanced, you can take your gaze to that hand as well. Keep squeezing through your left glutes to help stack that right hip on top of the left. Option to bend that foot in the sky, catch hold of the top of the foot. It's a little bit stubborn to find. And then a little bit of a kick backwards and a little bit of a kick upwards. Open that front line of the body all across the chest, the front of the belly, the front of that right hip, as you keep folding over your standing leg. So breathe in. We're then going to curl this leg under the body as we come into that pistol squat. You can do it without holding the foot, but it's a little bit harder to keep that leg lifted. Push the heel away, see if you can sink low to keep the heel down, or you can stay on the ball of the foot if that's not quite working. Maybe you can find balance by both hands coming to hold the foot. That's hard. Now keep hold of the foot with at least the right hand. Left hand onto the floor beside you is a good little push to help you get out the hardest bit, and then see if you can rise up to stand. Maybe that left arm can reach to the sky. The leg does not need to be straight. You can stay with the bent leg, push the heel away from you, toes towards the face, squeeze the glutes of that standing leg. Breathe in. And then breathe out. Step that foot to the back of the mat. Hands come to the floor. Left leg steps back, flies to the sky into your down dog. And then exhale. Place the foot down, drop the knees, bums your heels into child's pose as you take yourself a couple of breaths, recovery breaths as I call them. Allow your breath to move a little slower. Breathing in, breathing out. Great job, guys. Rise your way up towards tabletop. We're nearly there. Toes tuck under behind us, hips lift to the sky as we come back into down dog. Take the gaze forward to the top of the mat. Bend those knees, spring the feet to the top of the mat, land in your forward fold. Inhale, halfway rise, and exhale to forward fold. Inhale, rise your way up to stand. Arms go up and overhead. And as you exhale, release your arms by your sides and then allow yourself to turn. I would say turn to the right, but I don't know where your screen is, so just turn yourself to face the long edge of your mat. The right foot is then going to step nice and wide. I think my carpet just moved there. As you come into your wide-legged stance, toes are a little bit more inward, so the edges of your feet match the edges of your mat. Let your hands come to your waist. Take a deep breath in, shoulder blades together, chest stays nice and broad. And then as you exhale, think of the chest going forwards as it then folds down, sit bones pushing up and back, chin down towards the chest, the back of the neck stays long, and then release your hands down to the floor. If you can touch the floor, then do so. You can use blocks if you can't. And if you've got your hands on the floor, think of pushing into the mat in that direction to help deepen into your fold. Inhale, spine lengthens. Exhale, body compresses as you fold. Great. Inhale one more time. Think of like a little halfway lift, so you come out of the pose a little bit. And then as you exhale, both hands walk over to the right foot. There's no twist here, we're just moving the torso towards the right, so keep your left sit bone pushing a little further backwards. Keeping hold of this leg or ankle or some part of the leg with both hands. Give yourself a little pull just to encourage a little bit of a deeper fold. Keep your quad engaged on this right side. Breathe into that left side body. Now don't let go of the foot. Your other leg, your left leg, you're going to bend the knee as if you're squatting back behind you. So it's sort of like a side lunge. You should feel the stretch in the left side of your torso and the inside of your right thigh. That left leg is having to work quite hard for this one. Breathe in and then breathe out. Straighten both legs, let both hands go over towards the left foot and let yourself fold against the leg to begin with. Give yourself a little pull, think of right sit bone moving backwards as the chest moves towards the left shin. Inhale. Exhale. Great, keep a nice firm hold, particularly with your right hand. Your right leg then bends, so your other leg, the one you're not holding, bend the knee, sink the hips back and find that stretch into the inner thigh and the outer side of that right torso. Great, one more, big breath in. And then breathing out. Release, hands to come to the floor, just in front of you, so you're slightly releasing out of your stretch. This time, let your toes turn out away from one another. We're going to sink down into a side lunge to the back of your mat, so towards your right foot. Sink your sit bone towards your right heel. Your left toes turn to face the sky. As you come into Skandasana side lunge, make sure your right arm is on the inside of the thigh, so you can push it wide as if your knee is going out behind you. Flex the toes towards the sky, option to add the arms, right arm reaches out, inhale left arm to the sky. Keep reaching out through the heel. This heel can be lifted if it needs to be. It's quite hard to keep it down if the hips are not quite there. So one more breath in. And then as you exhale, I want you to try and sit down just behind your heel. So you stay in this shape, but you're now sat on the floor. This knee stays pointing up, which is quite challenging for your hips. Left hand to hold the ankle, and you can often use your thumb to help press that knee wider. I want you to stay strong through this right knee. Inhale, right arm rises to the sky. Start leaning out towards the left. Either leave the arm in the sky or extend over your shoulder, and maybe your toes are there for you. It's a long, big old stretch. Yours might look more like this. It's a side body stretch as you keep that knee pointing to the sky. Push away through that left heel, inhale. And then exhale. Draw yourself up and out of that. See if without using your hands, you can lift yourself back into your Skandasana. And if you can't, use your hands, push yourself there. And then come to transition to the front of the mat into the same shape. Option to do it with no hands, staying nice and low through your hips to move all the way over as your right toes turn to the sky. Heel can lift if it needs to, heel to place down if it can. Left arm to the inner of the thigh, breathe in. Right arm reaches tall, turn through your chest. Sinking down through both heels, firming them down against the mat. Great, hands come down with control. See if you can place your bum onto the mat behind you. This time, right hand holds the ankle, so it's sort of twisting the body already. The elbow can rest down if it will. Use a breath in for the left arm to go to the sky. And as you exhale, side bend, keep that knee pushing wide, strong through those left hips. Option to find the foot, but that is quite a ridiculous distance to fold. So maybe just look underneath the arm, holding onto that left ankle. A nice deep breath in. And then breathing out. Sit yourself tall. Again, no momentum. See if you can lift up and out of the pose. Turn yourself to face the top of the mat and just drop the knees down. So the time has come to put all of our strength and our flexibility together. See if we can find a moment of balance into Firefly pose, arm balance. So it's a combination of some of the shapes we've already made. We're going to start with our feet about as wide as the mat, maybe a little bit more narrow. Take that half squat, half forward fold shape where the belly and the thighs are resting together like we did at the back of the mat to begin with. Arms then going to bury underneath the thighs. Try and get your thighs as close to your shoulders as you can. So it's like, I say this all the time, it's like trying to put your legs on like a backpack. Get them right up as high as you possibly can. Fingertips then go behind the heels. Let yourself start to sit down towards your wrists as the heels of the hands find the mat. Now squeeze the legs around the arms, lift the chest, find the longest arms you possibly can, and maybe your feet leave the floor. If they do, see if you can hook them together. This would be your shoulder pressure pose. If you've got nice long and ready hamstrings, maybe you can extend those legs away from you into full Firefly. Now, it's a very challenging arm balance, so if you're struggling in the first part, which is getting those legs underneath, it's really a flexibility game for you, and you've just got to keep working on your flexibility. If you're struggling to find lift, this is what I was saying about blocks. If you put your hands onto blocks instead, you give your arms that much extra length to pull your way from the mat. So that's a good place to start. But getting those thighs right up here is gonna allow your arms to feel longer than if your thighs are down here. If you think about it, if my thighs are right by my elbows, it's a lot harder for me to get my feet off the floor because it makes my arms seem that little bit shorter. So you may have already fallen out of it or come out of it. If you're still up into it, sit yourself down onto your bum. Let your legs come out onto the mat in front of you. Two bent knees, arms reach forwards as you slowly unravel. Release your way down onto the mat. I love whenever I lie down, Benny often turns himself onto his back as well with his legs in the air. You can then hug your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. And then right foot returns to the floor. Left ankle crosses over that thigh into your dead pigeon or your figure four, whatever you want to call it. Move the left knee away from you and then hug this right thigh in, interlacing around the front of the shin if you can manage, back of the thigh if you cannot. Keep the shoulders pulling down towards the floor, the lower back pressing down against the mat, and give this ankle a nice press against the thigh as the thigh pulls back towards it. Left knee stays moving away from you, breathe in and breathe out. Again, breathing in and breathing out. Great, release that leg, switching sides, left foot to the mat, cross your right ankle over the thigh, let that knee stay moving away from you, and then left thigh draws in towards the body. Find your interlace and then use the strength in the hips to keep that right knee moving away from you. Press the ankle against the thigh and pull the thigh back against the ankle. Keep the underside of the pelvis pushing down against the mat. A nice deep breath in and a slow breath out. Great. Unravel your legs. 2 knees to hug in towards your chest. Let the knees fall over towards the right side as the left arm reaches out to the left. Take a deep breath right down into the belly. And then roll the legs over to the other side. Legs go left, arm goes right. And again, a nice deep breath right down to the bottom of the lungs. Expand into that twisted section. Slowly breathe it back out. And then finally rolling back onto your back, hugging your knees to your chest, rolling your way up to a seated position. If you want to take a Shavasana, you are very welcome to take that now. Otherwise, a deep breath in to circle the arms to the sky. And a slow breath out to lower your chin to your chest as your hands lower towards your lap. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the challenge of that class. It was definitely one that made my legs feel that little bit empty of energy halfway through. Maybe you felt the same. I'd love to hear from you in the comments what you thought of the class, if you enjoyed it, and you can always comment there whether or not there's certain things that you'd like to see in my classes, if there's certain poses that you want to work on yourself. I'm offering the live classes as on a donation basis. If you are able to contribute, I very much appreciate your support, and the link to my PayPal for that is in the description. Hope you can join me again soon online, and I hope to hear from you soon.